Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters, where I live stream every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, unless otherwise noted. The only time I will live stream at another time is if we have a guest speaker on, and then I usually start at 9 a.m. to give the full hour, or if I'm traveling. Or once in a great while, we will have cocktails with the critters where we do a group discussion where everybody gets on. So I can see all of you. And we usually do that on a Saturday night. But for those that may be new, good morning. My name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We're an international educational center where we teach people all over the world how to empower animals and the people that care for them. And we do that through our live streaming services, where if you take a look here at our Facebook or our website, you'll see our services at the top. Our online memberships would be under memberships, obviously. Those are annual memberships. And we have some new things getting ready to come out, so stay tuned. You will see our other services under services. And let's see what else. If you're looking to reach me personally, you can always email me. I was returning emails this morning about people asking, do we have to attend the live stream? I'm in California. It's 6:30 our time. No, the replay is available. But what's really cool about attending the live stream is I can see you and I can talk to you and I can answer your questions. So this is our second episode after taking a 3-month break. So I'm just jumping back in and getting used to this. So bear with me. Good morning, Ray, Tim, Iris, Bobby, Donna, Kim, Jennifer, Elaine, Sandy, Nicole, Lisa, Kathleen, Therese. Good morning, everybody. I recognize a lot of names from people that follow the work we do. And people that are already in our memberships. Yeah, so let's get started. Let's see, just a couple more things. We do have an event coming up Tuesday night, and this is where I slack because Karen Pratt is the one that takes care of the events on the websites and the Facebook page, and I just forget to tell her about them. And then she'll email me saying, do you have an event coming up? I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot to tell you. But in case I forget to tell you, you can sign up for our email newsletter, which if you are already on our list, you did get an email last night. You can sign up for our email newsletter on our Facebook page or on our website. And that event that's I think I've got at least 2 events coming up this week. Had one impromptu last night. Loved it. It went fabulous. But this week, I'm live streaming with Sylvia Kozarchuk. She is a professional animal trainer. There she is, right there, Sylvia. So you can sign. Hey, Sylvia, do you want to post the link where people can register for this event for Tuesday night on animal enrichment and why it's important? Enrichment is a must for animals. It is not an option. If you want the highest quality of care and you want your animals in your care to thrive, not just survive, enrichment is a must, and it's individualized. And we use enrichment in every behavior modification plan, every single one. We have to. Now, there's different forms of enrichment, and we can talk about that next weekend on Coffee with the Critters, because I will be talking about, I've got Coffee with the Critters scheduled until April. There's one weekend probably in the middle of February or beginning of March where I'm going to have to switch it around because I'm going to be out west. But anyways, you can find our events here on our Facebook page, on our website, or just sign up for our email newsletter list and you're not going to miss one because I will send it out to you. Okay, Sylvia just posted the link for for Tuesday night's episode. This will be big, but I wanted to show it right here in case you guys want to copy it. Good morning, Lisa. Lisa Phillips says, I'll show you what she says. Good morning, Laura. It's so good to have you back on Sunday mornings. It's good to be back. I'll tell you what, good morning, Jennifer. I still have to set my alarm clock for 6:30 a.m. because what I started getting sloppy with before we took a break is I was just so busy. I was so busy and responsible for so many things that I'm constantly running, and I wasn't focusing my attention on the best content possible for Coffee with the Critters. So I got up this morning and put it all together for you. And I was like, this right here is what it needs to be. If I'm truly focused on providing education and to the people who want it the best, then I need to deliver better content. So I sat down last night and created the next 12 weeks of episodes, and we have some guests coming on. One that I was trying to get on last fall, but she was having a baby, and then I had to take some time off. So, good morning, Chris Armstrong and Judith Secker and Jen and Kim. Kim asked, you're going to have to ask Sylvia because Sylvia is interviewing me. Sylvia, Kim wants to know, will the Tuesday webinar be recorded if we cannot attend live? Okay, let's get started on today's topic, which is common mistakes people make in training animals. And I've got a list right here. One of the things I was working on last night after my presentation and this morning. Okay, so what I guess you need to define what is training. And anybody want to say what's getting ready to come out of my mouth? If an animal can see you, hear you, smell you, or feel you, you are training. The key question is, what are you training? And speaking of that, I have a live stream episode of Coffee with the Critters scheduled for doing some training in my house, training out at the center. I don't know if anybody's interested in watching me train Snow, our deaf and blind dog. If anybody's interested in watching me train Levi, our deaf dog. One of the reasons I adopted Snow is, who's going to adopt a deaf and blind puppy? And I'm going to tell you, training the deaf and the blind is completely different than training the deaf or training the blind. When you combine them together, you're communicating with that animal via touch, smell. It's amazing. So when I adopted Snow, she taught me so much. She's sitting here by my side, where Quincy used to lay. She has taught me so much. She's been one of my best educators. Every animal is my best educator, and I train an array of species of animals. For those that may not know, I focus on the exotics and show how we can get behavior. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things listed that I just was like off the top of my head, biggest mistakes made in training animals. I'll start with one I thought was probably the most common. And I know we have several dog trainers on here with us today. So good morning, Mike. Feel free, Sylvia and Jen, to post what you think or responses to what I'm getting ready to say. One of the most common mistakes people do when training an animal is reinforce undesired behaviors. I thought, okay, that's probably one of the most common. Most of the shelters, and this is Okay. Most of the shelters are filled because people, hey, Sherry, because I said Sherry, not Siri. Most of the shelters are filled at maximum capacity because people unknowingly reinforce all kinds of undesired behaviors. Yes, Sylvia and Jen say yes, big time. Feel free to make comments. Sylvia and Jen, do you agree with me? Counter surfing with dogs. Why does it happen? Okay, I get people all the time. How do I keep my dog from jumping? How do I keep my dog off the counter? How do I keep my dog from barking? And one of the things I just say, there's snow. One of the things I say is, you got to identify the reinforcer. Okay. The animal is always the one that determines the reinforcer. It's up to us how we use it. And Jen says, especially the jumping. Yeah. So if a dog is jumping for attention, stop reinforcing it, stop delivering the attention. And that may be in the form of verbally, uh, touching is probably the number one reinforcer. Yes, Gabriella, you must be new because I don't recognize your name, but that's okay. Welcome, newbies. We deal with this all the time in the Parrot Project, where one of the number one behavior issues with birds as parrots, as educational animals or companions in the home, one of the biggest ones is screaming. And it's the most common, I should say, biggest meaning common. Another one is aggressive biting, lunging. Okay. Don't forget that some of these animals that we're working with, if they're in cages or enclosures, their choices are limited. If their choices are limited, they have less of an option, less options to get away from whatever aversive you're pairing yourself with that you're presenting. And if they have less options, choices, the more you'll see behavior issues skyrocket. And I do have some behavior issues written down here too. Yeah, Jen says if you touch, look at, or talk to the dog, you have reinforced the jump. Yep. And we always reinforce behavior, not the animal. Okay. So a lot of times people will say, the animal doesn't even like me. Why is it doing this? Well, I would say, why doesn't it like you? Because I will end with showing you photos of, I want animals wanting to be with me, running for the opportunity to interact with me. And you guys know that studies show if you're actually using positive reinforcement training, it's the animal's preferred form of enrichment. That is what I do because I want to empower these animals, include choice, control, and complexity in their environments. And you're getting ready to see some different training we're getting ready to do with some different species of animals. Okay, so reinforcing undesired behavior. So most people don't even know that they're reinforcing the undesired behavior. I work primarily with exotics and the educational community with zoos, education centers, wildlife ambassadors. But I talk about dogs because most everybody has a dog in their house. Not everybody has a lemur or an alligator in their house, nor should you. Okay. So after reinforcing undesired behaviors, the next one I have listed here as one of the most common is taking too big of steps. Somebody asked me this years ago when I was giving a presentation. They said, what's the most common mistake people make in training animals? And I was like, wow, I've never been asked that question before. That's fabulous. And I had to think about it for 1 second. And I said, taking too big of steps. So when you're teaching, yes, some animals understand what's coming out of our mouth, but a lot of times You don't have to say anything because that animal it's adapted to living or working with humans by reading your behavior. When your eyebrows go up, when you go like this, when the F-bomb flies out of your mouth, the only time the F-bomb flies out most of the time out of somebody's mouth is when they're extremely upset. So that level of which you deliver that vocalization, what you're doing with your hands at the same time, don't tell me your dogs do not understand that. They're reading behavior. Okay. I used to have a dog when I said the F-bomb, he'd smile and back me in a corner. Corbin, my Dalmatian. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? And I was like, because I don't usually run around the house screaming this all the time, especially when I'm excited. Jen says, yes, slice that pie smaller until you are at least 80% success. Before you move forward, you have to teach and train before you test. Yes. And Sylvia says, be a splitter, not a lumper, per another trainer. I like that. Break it down. So you can sit here and tell the animal, I want you to jump up on here and target your nose, beak, paw, rear end to this target stick. That animal has no idea what you just said, but it's reading your behavior. So you have to shape these behaviors. And what I mean by shaping is reinforce small approximations towards the desired behavior. If you're asking the animal in your care to do something and it's not doing it, it could be many things. You're not working with an effective reinforcer. Number two is you're taking too big of steps. You're taking too big of steps. So when I'm asking an animal to shape a target, here's a big one. Speaking of target sticks, we've got a new one getting ready to come out. Smaller one for smaller mammals, smaller gators, small fish, small birds, cats. For example, if I'm asking an animal, I want to teach an animal to touch its nose to a target. And a lot of people will say, why would you want an animal to do that? And I'm like, why wouldn't you want it? Do you understand what a target stick can do? And you'll see, I'll show some video or some photos of what we're working on in level 2 with the target stick to get animals, huge animals, to shift and move where we want. Walk towards us this way, move that way. I need you to turn around so you can fit in this enclosure. And it's all done through a target stick. So teaching an animal to touch its nose to a target, why would you want that? Okay, well, if the animal understands, hey, when I touch my nose to this target, I get a reinforcer. Why wouldn't it want to do that? So I start a lot of recall training with targets. I need an animal to get on a scale. I'll hold the target above the scale. I need the animal to go into crate. I'll put the target in the crate. And a big reason why I use target stick, well, not a big reason, I found it very handy. So I do make mistakes in my training and I don't realize I've made them until after I've done it and I saw the behavior and I was like, whoa, that was not expected. I don't ever want to do that again. Okay. If I'm working with an animal that I'm not familiar with that can hurt me, I'm starting off contact, no touching whatsoever, and something in between us to protect me in case I make a mistake. Then I'll use a long target stick and ask it to touch its nose to it or touch its foot to it. But then a lot of times I've got to introduce that target stick. So here's a perfect example of taking too big of steps in training. People are like, okay, let's start training a target stick. You whip out this big stick and start pointing it towards the animal. Depending on the type of animal, it could grab it, attack it, destroy it. Now you've just paired yourself with an aversive. An aversive is something the animal doesn't like. I do not want to pair myself with any type of aversive at all. Do I? Yeah, sometimes I do. I take too big of steps in my training, but the key is learn from those mistakes. In a lot of my training, I'm live streaming. my training to the different memberships. And if I make a mistake, I'll say, did you see that? Did you see that? I did, because I'm staring right at the animal's staring right at me. This animal is not comfortable. I need to back up. We did that with our giraffe. We're doing it with our giraffe training right now. So if I'm getting an animal to touch its nose to a target stick, number one, I need to make sure that the animal is comfortable with the target stick. So a lot of times if I have to raise it up here, bridge, drop the target stick, walk up, deliver a reinforcer, then that is where I'll start. And I do a lot of this. This is counter conditioning, reshaping that this once former aversive is now being paired with the positive. So I'm going to counter condition, retrain, and communicate to that animal, you have control of this target stick. I do not. Okay. My animals, or the animals that I train, are always in control. I am their student. They are my teacher. Okay. I thrive off of that. I am so happy to be doing the work I'm doing. It's an honor. And it's even more of an honor to bring it to you. Because if you're watching this, you want to know how to do better. And I am going to help you. Because in order to get to the animal in your care, I have to get to you. And if you show me you're putting forth the effort, I'm going to give it back. Good morning, Lynn. Ray, I'm going to answer your question at the end of this live stream. So I was going to say, if I'm teaching an animal to touch a target stick after I've done all this and everything's fine, target stick stays out of the picture. What's going to happen when you're standing next to an animal and you go like this? It's probably going to turn and look at it. And I'm going to bridge, drop it, deliver reinforcer. Okay. And I drop it because the animal's more likely to look at it as soon as it comes back in the picture versus going like this and saying, can you touch? Okay, good. And then you hold the target stick up like this, and then you deliver the reinforcer. Drop it. Because when it comes back in, bridge, drop it, deliver a reinforcer. So you're teaching the animal something about this target stick is paired with all these goodies that are falling from the sky. And then you can get it closer, closer, closer. And you can target, like I do a lot of head targets with my hand. And I teach animals to, this is what I want. I want you to stay here. And a lot of times I'll teach an animal, I don't even want you doing this. But what I'm looking for instead of what I don't want is bridging and shaping the behaviors that I do want, because animals learn faster for earning reinforcement for what to do versus being told what to do. I agree with that 110% because I see it every day. One more thing I want to talk about before I move on to the next one. Jen says, unfortunately, in the dog and horse world, bad trainers abound. In the exotic and zoo world, if the trainer is bad or poor, they will get attacked because non-domesticated animals will not accept pain or poor training for long. Yeah, and that's why I love training exotics, because you don't have a lot of room for error. And when I don't have a lot of room for error, I get creative. I start manipulating the environment. I move things around. When does the behavior happen? When doesn't it happen? If it's what I want, I'm going to move things around to make this more successful. If it's a behavior I don't want, I'm going to move it around to make sure the behavior doesn't happen again. We need to rearrange the environment to set the animal up for success. Okay? If not, you're likely going to just keep getting undesired behaviors. Good morning, Shannon. Good morning, Deb. I was just looking through photos and found an old live stream of you and I. I need to get you back on here. So when we take too big of steps with our training, we can also accidentally reinforce undesired behaviors such as fear. Remember, attacking this, confusion with some of the animals I'm working with. I don't have room for confusion. Because if I'm going to get in your enclosure and I'm training you from the outside, I need to know what it looks like when I've taken too big of steps. And sometimes, like I was training Priscilla the alligator, and I was training her to let me, what was I doing this for? I put the target stick on the top of her head, and then I slowly was moving it down her back. I think I was getting her ready for a body exam. I took too big of a step, and I didn't realize it until like my 5th training session. Because reading the behavior of a alligator, you don't have feathers that go up here. You don't have eyebrows that go like this. You don't have ears that pin back to say you're moving too far. You have an alligator, which once in a while it might. I found out the next time I walked in, she raised her hind legs a little bit. And I was like, oh no. And that's usually getting that tail ready in position. I don't want any animal to put themselves in any type of defensive position when they see me. So I was like, Priscilla, man, I'm so sorry. She understood not a word of that. But what she did understand is I didn't do it again. I reshaped. I came in and took smaller steps. I will not make that mistake with her again, because anybody that follows my work knows how much those gators mean to me. And through training, I did physical therapy with her over the summer, and she's up and moving and walking again. Okay, I've missed you too, Deb. Let's see, 1, 2 here, and I do have a photo for this one. Another very common step I see taken that people make mistakes with, and with all you dog trainers on here, Deb and Jen and Sylvia, let me know. I see people rely on the lure too much without fading it out. Okay, so a lure is something, it's a reinforcer that you show the animal to get the behavior. So you have a treat in a hand. If you touch this target stick, you get this. And I've seen people just get them. You can lure them by putting peanut butter on the end of the target stick. And I was like, okay, that might work for a couple of training sessions, but why even do that? Why not teach them this equals peanut butter? I do lure. If I lure, I'm going to fade it out quickly. And I see people like relying on that lure too much, because like they always have to have a treat or show the animal the reinforcer to get the behavior. And Deb says, yep, luring is a great way to start a behavior, but then it needs to be faded out fairly fast. And Jen says, yep, that is also true. Once you have achieved success with the lure, you must fade it quickly. Because let me tell you what happens if you do not fade out that lure. You always have to have it. I only have 2 hands, and one's usually with a target stick, and the other one is usually holding a bird. Okay, they can land on my head, whatever. Or the other one, who knows, has a glove on it or a thermometer in it that I'm getting ready to use to train an animal. I don't have enough hands to show lures for what I'm doing. I need that animal to understand contingency. One of the 4 main factors of reinforcer effectiveness is contingency. I want to teach that animal and communicate to that animal as fast as possible. When you do this, is what's getting you this. Okay, so that way I don't have to lure. And when you fade out that lure and the animal understands contingency, you will see the art and the science of behavior just starting to come together. The animal will start understanding, is this what you want me to do? Is this what you want me to do? And the animal has all the opportunity in the world to run, fly, or swim away from you. Keep them there, create this relationship, and you do that through training. And training using positive reinforcement and applied behavior analysis is the best form of communication with any animal that I have ever had. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've unknowingly used different ways before in the past. But when we know better, we do better. Okay, I do have two more I want to go through real quick. I saw this picture and I was like, what the hell is this? What is happening in this photo? Because I don't want any part of it. I definitely would not have my face between two wolves. And maybe this person's doing something totally different. I don't know. But it was a good picture. This is confusing to me because I don't know what's coming out of her mouth. But that wolf on the right, I don't know if I want to be there. The wolf in the front, ears are back. I definitely wouldn't want my face that close. The next one on the list is pairing ourselves with aversive. Deb says that's a little terrifying. Yeah, I'm like, I saw this and I was like, whoa, get your face out of there as fast as possible. I don't know if this lady can see what's happening to the left, but that wolf in front of her can. And that wolf in front of her probably knows a little bit more about wolf behavior than she does. So using aversives to control behavior, I never want to pair myself with an aversive because I don't have to, number one. Can I force an animal to do something? Anybody can do that. Anybody can force an animal to do something, but we need to know how to do better because we can, and science will teach us how to do that. Can I force an animal? Yeah, with the animals I train, I can force it once. The next time my life is probably in danger because we don't like to be forced around either. And it also, I don't want any part of fear involved in my training. I don't want to manhandle anything because when I have to manhandle something, it means I don't have the education to do better. And I will help you do better. There's trainers on here that'll help you do better. Okay. In the use of the word commands, I don't use the word command. I will never command an animal to do something because it means do this or else. It's a form of negative reinforcement. I will request the animal to do something. I will cue the animal to do something. And then, I wanted to show you, I hesitated in posting this next photo. Donna says, looks aggressive herself. Aggression just leads to more aggression. Yeah, I hesitated because I don't know what this dog's history is. And it's a Rottweiler, and I love Rottweilers. Love Rottweilers. Anyways, so the first, I'm seeing a calm dog. I'm seeing a calm dog. I don't want to say happy because I don't know how to describe happy. But this dog looks calm, cool, and collected. Why I did post it is because it has some equipment on it that tells it no, 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 which is the choke chain and the mouth guard. So, but these could be aversives. It depends on how they're used. I don't know if these are aversives to the dog or not. I don't know how they're being used. Like a hood on a falcon, is it aversive or not? Well, it depends on how it's being used. Does it keep the animal calm in an uncontrollable environment? Yeah. This dog may be the handler. It may have a history of getting overexcited and biting people. Okay. I understand that. So you can shape this behavior. That might be why some of this equipment's used. And the dog loves to go in public, but it gets so excited and bites people. Okay, let's take a couple steps back. How are we going to retrain this and reapproach this? Oh, I've got this too. So abusing control is one I had on here. I know I'm a little bit over. I'm 5 minutes over. I've seen people abuse control. Number one, I have a podcast on control. Control is not a bad word. Um, I need control over animals at particular times. I need it for their safety. We need to have control over our children for their safety while we teach them how to be successful in life. Okay. So control is not a bad word. Just like the mouth guard, it depends on how is it used? How are you using it? And do not abuse it. Do not abuse it. I want to be able to know that I can go in with almost any animal and know it's not going to come at me to hurt me because I've paired myself with aversives in the past. And Jen brings up a good point, which is there's a difference between control and dominance. Yeah. So don't abuse that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, and then I'm going to show you some photos, is not increasing your complexity in training. So studies show with predictability comes boredom. So think about that when you're providing enrichment for your animals. Is it the same old thing? People be like, I don't change it because the animal doesn't touch it. Well, maybe the animal doesn't like it, or maybe the animal doesn't understand it. So start differently and shape it. It's the same way with our training. And I am guilty of this with my dogs at home because I'm surrounded by 400 animals per day of numerous different species. And I'm training all kinds of stuff. And I was thinking today, I said, right before this live stream, I was like, instead of training everything, because I can't, why not pick a few and increase the complexity of what you're training? Because what I don't want to do is show an animal how to be empowered and then take it away. And a lot of times we do that through training. We get so excited, we train, we increase the complexity. And like I said, if you're actually using positive reinforcement, it's the animal's preferred form of enrichment. So if we're training, and then all of a sudden we get too busy and we just stop, or train the same old thing all the time, that gets boring. And I don't want to do that for that animal. And that's exactly what I've done to my 2 dogs at home. But I'm getting there. And that's why I put Levi and Snow into my training of Coffee with the Critters, because it's going to make me start training them again. And when I start training them, they love it. Okay, so can I force an animal? Sure can. Barn owls are easy to capture. But they're smaller owls. Do I want to do it? No. Do I need to do it? Because how are you if I have to go in and capture this thing, and this obviously looks like a male because it's a small eagle, that is so close to my face. And if I've used force to pair myself with it in the past through communication, that eagle is going to protect itself and you're going to get footed. You're going to get footed in the face or the forearm. And I want no part of it because I know better. If I'm standing in front of an animal like this, and this is not where I started. I started off contact. Well, I don't have any contact with these gators. I'm teaching him through protection, a target. Okay, I want you here, I want you there. Now I want you moving as fast as you can. Now I need you to stop because the next step is I'm coming in. So I use the target stick to direct the gator where to go. I want animals wanting to be with me, running to me on cue. See how many more photos I have. I guess I just got a little excited about this topic today. Here is a situation that just happened last week. I'm using a target stick to get these giraffes to go where I want them to go. And if you're in our level 2, you're seeing how I do this with numerous different species of animals. As soon as these 2 giraffes see me, boom, they're like looking at me like, what do you want me to do today? So, and then another thing I'm looking at is what's happening on the faces of these people. When I'm training and an animal wants to do what I want to do, then everybody has their phones out. And I'm sitting there talking about education and how we don't need to force animals to do anything. This how owl has every opportunity to fly off my arm. But I reinforce the behavior of staying there to communicate the best that I can with this animal. And if I don't know how, I'm going to figure it out because I owe it to that animal. Ray says, thank you. You're very welcome. Everybody's very welcome. If you're interested in more of this, take a look at our online memberships. Level 1's getting ready to change. Level 2 is doing well. And you can find out more about that on our website, which is theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. I also have our next podcast, which is available to people in our memberships, level 1 and level 2. I'm going to be working on that right after this and uploading it to your membership level. You can find that on our website at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. We just had somebody join level 2 overnight. I need to get them in, but also I have an online consultation in 15 minutes. You can join our projects, which are species specific. You can find that on our website. You also find our webinars there. And Ray, you had asked, who drew that lovely painting? This is another reason why I do what I do. This is from my niece, Gemma, in Nevada. Drew this, and it is the timeline photo. So I've made an impression on this small mind that has the world in front of her. So thank you, Gemma, and thank you all. And I will see you next weekend at 9:30, Coffee with the Critters. I do believe it's on Enrichment. All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. Take care. Thanks, everybody, for being so interactive. Makes it more fun. All right.